Well. If it isn't you guys, I know what to say. I know what to call y'all. You know what I'm saying? But what's up, y'all, man? What's up, family? What's up? How y'all doing today, man? It's been 2 days. Obviously, the nonsense at the weekend off. You know what I'm saying? But listen, before we get straight into this video, I was gonna go ahead and say another huge thank you to every single last one of y'all, man. Listen. We are now at 1,600 and I think 75 subscribers. Clap it up for that, man. 1,675. That's crazy. That's crazy. Lots of love on the Larry Bird vids. You know what I'm saying? I love the Making It Case series. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, we almost, you know what I'm saying, finished with the Making the Case series. You know what I'm saying? We got Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, LeBron, and Michael Jordan left. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be it for the Making the Case series. But I would say thank you so much for the support. You know, even after we finish the series, we're going to keep grinding. Like, we're going to keep, you know what I'm saying, doing our thing. And, you know what I'm saying, keep watching greatness. You know what I'm saying? Keep learning the game. All that great stuff, man. So, yeah, man. Today, we are reacting to Bill Russell. So, yes, sir. Bill Russell, Making the Case. And we're going to see what's crack-a-lacking right here. Mr. 11 Rings. Mr. Team Player. Mr. There's no I in we. You feel what I'm saying? The guy to get his teammates involved. And I respect that 100%. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the type of guy who's on the court, I like to get my guys involved. You know what I'm saying? There's ISO guys, and then there's team players. I'm a team player. You feel what I'm saying? Now, I can play ISO if I need to. I got to get a bucket or two. But I'm more of a team player, man. You know what I'm saying? Sharing the ball and all that stuff. So, yeah, man. We're going to see what's crack-a-lacking. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, if you're new, be sure to drop a like. You know what I'm saying? Helps the channel a lot. And if you want to join the fam, you can. You know what I'm saying? No rush now. No rush. But you want to. It's always an option. But, yeah, man, that's enough talking for me. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video, man. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it, man.
Imagine what I'm trying to do.
Hope I'm doing good for real.
I'm speaking to the most data-driven, analytically obsessed, statistically fixated generation of basketball fans that has ever lived. And I'm not just speaking to you. I'm making the argument that the greatest player of all time is one who, rather than scoring in high volume or with top-notch efficiency, excelled at defense, an aspect of the game that went virtually unrecorded for this player's entire career, an aspect which, even today, the most advanced metrics still provide an incomplete picture of. More than that, though, this player excelled in the wrinkles of basketball, manipulating the fabric of the game into his own design. This player is remembered for his unparalleled ability to lead, to inspire, to foster cohesion and self-sacrifice in favor of loftier goals, to dance along the line that blurs team and brotherhood. These empirically irrelevant skills resulted in the most successful professional sports dynasty in North American history. To begin making Russell's case, I want you to remember these legendary words from NFL head coach Herm Edwards.
Let's hear it.
You play to win the game. It doesn't matter who you are, what your abilities are, what level you're playing at, what kind of sport you're playing, or who you're up against. You play to win the game.
That's facts.
Remember that as we talk about Bill Russell. You play to win the game. Because when you look at sports and competition
he's a winner.
At its fundamental level, it is that simple. So,
he's a winner.
Did he win? Hell yes, he won. In his 13 NBA seasons, Bill Russell captured
11
titles, more than any other professional team athlete of note. 8 of them came consecutively. I'll come right out and say, if you want the GOAT conversation to be about winning, oh yeah, this guy had a great career, but this other guy just wanted to win more. This guy wanted to win more than anything. That's why he's better. I want winners. If that's the way we're going to do this, then you have to crown Bill Russell. But was Russell an awe-inspiring athletic specimen?
You have to.
Nope. For that kind of player, you look to guys like Wilt and Shaq and LeBron. Was he a transcendent scorer? Like I said earlier, no. Players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were in another stratosphere in that department. Here's what Bill Russell was. He was a natural athlete at 6'10". He glided across the court with the balance and grace of a 6'3" guard. Vertically, he was springy and had the uncanny ability to seemingly jump twice in the same instant. He was strong, but surprisingly lean and gangly, 220 pounds of all arms and legs. He had a level of anticipation and awareness that was second to none. Put it all together and you get the second highest rebounding average of any player ever. You also get the most domineering defender in basketball history. Historically, Russell was a basketball pioneer in an almost literal sense. In high school and college, he was told constantly that to be a great defender, you had to keep your feet on the floor at all times, so as to afford yourself the most maneuverability possible. Russell refuted these ideas, and instead leapt emphatically to meet defenders around the rim and block their shots into the arms of his teammates. Guys from back then described Russell as an almost nightmarish entity, someone who would lurk in plain sight and strike without warning. He would wage psychological warfare on his enemies through intimidation and exude an aura that demanded an equal amount of fear and respect. He could guard behemoths at his position like Wilt and Nate Thurmond, but he could also switch onto guards with an insignificant drop in proficiency. Moreover, at the NBA level, with Red Auerbach's help, Russell became the linchpin in the Boston Celtics' patented fast break offense. Russell would contest a shot, secure the rebound, and push the ball forward to his streaking teammates so as to attack a defense on its heels. I know that that doesn't sound like much today. The fast break is a part of every offensive system in the NBA and has been for decades, but Russell deserves credit as being the anchor of the NBA's most prolific defense and for being the cornerstone of an innovative offensive system.
That's facts.
Bill Russell was an innovative offensive player? But I thought he had sub-average offensive numbers. His shooting percentages weren't very good. He didn't average that many points. What are you getting at, Clayton? The truth, my good man. But seriously, free your mind from the idea that a great offensive player can only be the guy who puts the ball through the net. Russell's court vision and passing ability were the keys to the engine of the Boston offense. You don't care though. His stats weren't good, and that's that. So let's talk about statistics. The important statistics in basketball are supposed to be points scored, rebounds, and assists. But nobody keeps statistics on other important things. The good fake you make that helps your teammates score. The bad pass you force the other team to make. The good long pass you make.
That's just as important, bro. That's important stuff.
That leads to a score.
For real. That's
the way you recognize when one of your teammates has a hot hand that night and you give up your own shot so that he can take it.
Right.
All of those things. Those were some of the things we excelled in that you won't find in the statistics. There was only one statistic that was important to us. Won and lost. Whoops. Sorry. I slipped into first person there. Because I was reading a Bill Russell quote. As if my job wasn't hard enough, stats like steals and blocks, you know, defensive stats, didn't start getting recorded until the mid-70s. The only stat I can give you is defensive win shares. Games that a team won that can be attributed in part or in full to a player's defensive contributions. No one has yet to come within even 80% of matching Bill Russell's 13-year career total in that category. And now we're back to winning. The most important virtue of an athlete, right? It's how this debate always goes. 3 rings is more than 2. 5 rings is more than 3. 6 rings is more than 5. So why isn't 11 the largest number? I'll tell you why. There are 3 main reasons that people don't acknowledge the most decorated champion of all time.
Explain to me.
As the greatest of all time.
Explain.
In the order I'll talk about them, they are that Wilt was better, that his era was weak, and that his team was stacked. First up, we have his friend, rival, and antithesis, Wilt Chamberlain. The careers of Wilt and Russell overlapped for about 10 years, and in those 10 years, the two became harbingers of the NBA as we know it. Their friendship, play styles, size, and championship disparity painted the two as inverses of each other. They are immortalized together as 2 sides of the same coin. Because they played in a bygone era, many basketball fans take to all-time leaderboards in the pages of record books to gain a better understanding of these 2 men. Statistically, the comparison is a no contest. Wilt was and is a basketball anomaly. Wilt scored the most points in a game ever, had the most points in a season, remains the league's all-time rebounder, logged the most rebounds in a game, and so on. And not only did Wilt set all of these records, but he put the bar so far out of reach that we'll see colonies on Mars before we see all of his records surpassed.
We'll see colonies
How do I even begin to suggest that Russell is the superior basketball player? Russell played in the same era, and so you'd think he would benefit from the same era advantages like Wilt did. But where Wilt averaged 30 points a game, Russell averaged just a paltry 15. Their field goal percentages are similarly lopsided. Only in rebounding do the two seem comparable, with staggering averages and untouchable career totals. There's really no argument, right? Well, the two played 143 total games against each other. That's almost 15% of all the games that Bill Russell ever played in. In the 94 regular season games they went head-to-head, Russell's team won 57 times. In the 49 playoff games that they saw each other, Russell's team won 29 times. But hey, those are team records. Even looking at the box scores of those games and playoff series show that Wilt got his no matter what. Surely there must be some way to award a player for his individual expertise. Something like the MVP award, the most valuable player, the player who adds the most to his team and gives them the best chance to win, regardless of the players that he plays with. That should be worth something, right?
Yeah.
Especially considering that, until 1980, the MVP award was voted on by the league's players. If Russell's teams were so unfairly stacked, surely his peers would see this and understand that he was simply the beneficiary of a rigged system, right? And they'd give Wilt the award year in and year out because he was the best individual, right? Right. Look, Wilt won 4 MVP awards during his career. But it's not as many as Russell. Russell won the NBA's most prestigious award, signifying the most valuable individual talent in the NBA, 5 times. The rest of the NBA looked at the Boston Celtics, however talented they might have been, and recognized that it was Bill Russell who made them tick, and they had no problem voting him over Wilt. You want to know Russell's favorite award that he ever won in the NBA?
What's that?
His 1962 NBA MVP award. Why? Because that was the season Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double. And it was the year that Wilt averaged 50 points a game. Russell averaged 18 points and 29 rebounds.
That's
Wilt's
tough.
Warriors would take the Celtics to a Game 7 in that year's playoffs, only to lose in the game's dying seconds. Russell held the Wilt Chamberlain that had averaged 50 points that season to just 28 in the most important game of the season.
Wow.
And in the finals, the Celtics would find themselves in another Game 7 against the Lakers, this time in an overtime period that would decide the champion.
Respect.
Sam
I like
Jones
that.
and Bill Russell combined for 9 points in overtime, giving Boston their 4th championship in a row. Russell would end the game with 30 points and 44 rebounds. And now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I wasn't alive to see Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain. There's a level of context I'll never have because I didn't live through that era. So why don't we hear from some of the people who did?
Word.
Jerry West, Chamberlain's teammate from 1969 to 1973, said, "I don't want to rap Wilt because I believe only Russell was better, and I really respect what Wilt did. But I have to say, he wouldn't adjust to you. You had to adjust to him." 1975 Finals MVP and Hall of Famer Rick Barry said, "I'll say what most players feel, which is that Wilt is a loser. He is terrible in big games. When it comes down to the closing minutes of a tough game, an important game, he doesn't want the ball. He doesn't want any part of the pressure. It is at these times that greatness is determined, and Wilt doesn't have it." Kareem
That's
Abdul-Jabbar
real.
in 1990 wrote this, an open letter to Wilt Chamberlain. "It's been several years now, Wilt, that you have been criticizing my career with your friends in the press. After any tough test in which you didn't do well, you blamed those around you and quit. People will remember that I worked with my teammates and helped us win. You will be remembered as a whining crybaby and a quitter, stats and all." Stories abound about Wilt's infatuation with statistics, from correcting scorekeepers to scolding teammates for not making baskets that would have counted towards his assist totals. In 1965, the Warriors felt that Wilt was toxic and decided to trade him. One of the prospective landing spots for the Big Dipper was none other than the Los Angeles Lakers, where Jerry West and Elgin Baylor desperately needed someone to throw at Russell. The Lakers management decided to poll the players on whether the team should trade for Chamberlain. The poll resulted in a 9-2 decision against bringing Wilt to the team. Is it fair to call Wilt a loser? No. But did he make his teammates better? Rarely. Wilt played in 9 Game 7s. Russell played in 10. Wilt lost 5 of his. Russell never did. Okay, but back then there were like 8 teams, nobody was very tall, there was just a bunch of scrawny non-athletes. Russell couldn't hold Joel Embiid's jockstrap today. If you abide by the "yeah, he was good for his time, but he couldn't hang today" mindset, I need you to be consistent. I need you to acknowledge that across the board. You've painted yourself into a corner that states that the greatest athlete will always be the newest one. That Aroldis Chapman is historically a greater baseball player than Babe Ruth. because Chapman would smoke Babe Ruth like a dad playing wiffle ball with his son. That if someday the NBA implements a 4-point shot, you immediately have to look at Steph Curry and say, yeah, he was a good shooter for his time, but he couldn't cut it today. His era was easier. If he played today, he'd just be an average shooter. In that world, no one will ever hold the crown for long, because time will pass, and modern athletes inevitably age into ancient ones.
All facts.
So isn't the fairest way to evaluate these players to look at what they did in the context of their eras?
Right.
I think so, because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Everybody had era-specific advantages. Great players are great because they exploit them. All right, let's try to get some context.
That's it.
I think that Russell's 11 championships actually hurt him historically in this way. It's such an incomprehensible number that it just lends itself to people trying to poke holes in it or find ways to discredit him. 11 is just too big of a number, right? Jordan has 6, and we know the stories of all 6. We can remember who LeBron and Kobe beat to win their championships and what it meant to them. It's hard to do that with 11, and it's even harder to do that when they happened in the ballpark of 60 years ago. I briefly touched on 62, so here's a little more context for you. After 8 straight titles for Boston, Wilt and the 1967 76ers put the league on notice. They won a league record 68 games and disrupted the Celtics' streak in just 5 games. They put the ribbon on their season weeks later when they won the championship. And then, the very next year, the 76ers entered the playoffs with the best record in the league. Wilt led the league in assists and won the MVP. When they met the Celtics in the Eastern Finals, they racked up a 3-1 lead. And then, as player-coach of the Celtics, Bill Russell engineered the greatest comeback basketball had ever seen, becoming the first team to ever overcome a 3-1 deficit. Wilt did not attempt a field goal in the second half of Game 7. Russell did damn near everything to ice the game in its final minute. 1966 was Red Auerbach's last year. He began the season by telling his contemporaries that this was their last shot to beat him. After defeating the Oscar Robertson Royals and Wilt's 76ers, the Lakers and the Celtics went the distance in the finals. In Game 7, an inspired Russell helped fend off an intense Lakers rally in the final period, tallying 25 points and 32 rebounds to send his coach out as a winner. Go look up his teams. You'll see that 1965 was Russell's best team. You might think it was easier back then, though, because Russell was playing against a bunch of nobodies. And you've got me there. He only had to go through Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Hal Greer, Dolph Schayes, Oscar Robertson, Willis Reed, Nate Thurmond, Walt Frazier, and Bob Pettit. You know, a bunch of nobodies. The fact is that the weak era argument is, more often than not, an excuse made by people who want to discredit a player from before their time who can't be bothered to look them up and try to learn about them. Listen, I know it's crazy to think about how long basketball's been around. I know it's crazy trying to convince you that the first truly great player from the game's first truly great era was the greatest of them all. The odds that the first model was the best model are astronomical. It doesn't make it impossible, though. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that 8 teams actually made the league tougher, or that players from back then were just as good as they are today. And I don't have to. We're looking at this in context. The league was chock full of Hall of Famers and all-time greats. And the Celtics played in enough Game 7s that any rational observer would look at it and see that it wasn't easy for Russell. But wait, there's more. Because it wasn't just that Russell played in a weak era. He played with the better team every single year. If you didn't know, I've actually already made the case that Wilt was the greatest basketball player of all time. And I said this: Bill Russell consistently had better teammates than Wilt Chamberlain did. That's as good as a fact to me, and I will maintain it even when I make the case for Bill Russell. So here I am saying it. Bill Russell often had the best team in the NBA. And that makes sense, right? You don't win 1 championship without a great team, let alone 11. And Russell had a great team, a legendary coach, and talented teammates. Bob Cousy was the league's 2nd MVP ever. And John Havlicek helped lead the Celtics to 2 more titles in the 70s. Plus, guys like Casey Jones, Bill Sharman, Frank Ramsey, Tommy Heinsohn, and Sam Jones are all in the Hall of Fame. But is it that simple? Like I said earlier, the players voted on MVPs during those days, and Russell won 5 of them. So, however stacked his team might have felt to the rest of the league, they still acknowledged that Russell made it all work. And look at those Hall of Famers that Russell played with and how many championships they won. There's no way the Hall of Fame could leave these guys out, right?
That's crazy.
So was it that Russell was actually playing alongside a 12-man roster of monstars? Or were those guys Hall of Famers because they played alongside Bill Russell? I would argue that he had the better team all those years because those teams all had Bill Russell. He never cared about anything other than winning.
Tough.
He put himself and his teammates in position to win, time and time and time again. I know I keep repeating the number, but 11 championships.
That's crazy, bro.
That's not a fluke. That's a team galvanized
more than
by
a
a
decade of winning.
once-in-a-generation talent and a once-in-a-lifetime leader. There's no evidence that indicates that the Celtics would have enjoyed anything close to the amount of successes they did without Russell. The year before they got Russ, they were 39 and 33. The year after he retired, they were 34 and 48. Russell would throw up before big games throughout his career. It was a ritual that his teammates initially found unsettling, but eventually came to find a serene confidence in. Bill was setting an example. Their best player, despite all of the honors that he had won, and all of the champagne he had drank, still cared that much about winning. That's maybe the most impressive thing to me. He never rested on his laurels, never used past accomplishments as justifications for anything. He withstood the test of time and the temptations of self-interest. He never stopped caring, and so his teammates didn't either. So when Sam Jones hits a game winner, or Tom Heinsohn explodes in a playoff game, don't take credit away from them, but know that they are the ones who will tell you that it was Russell who made it all possible. Please don't make me keep going.
Another ad.
Fine. Bill Russell was cut from his high school JV team in his sophomore season. He was raw, lacked fundamentals, and was driven by unrefined passion alone. Then, as a junior and senior, he led the team to back-to-back state titles. Colleges didn't care though, and he didn't receive a single offer from any college. That is, until a scout from the University of San Francisco saw him and offered him a scholarship. In his 3 varsity years at USF, Russell helped turn a relatively unremarkable team into a perennial powerhouse. He went 71-8 and won 2 national championships. His junior year, the Dons started the season unranked. By the end of the season, they were the #1 team in the country and the national champions. In his senior year, the team went undefeated and carried the #1 ranking wire to wire. At one point, USF had a win streak of 55 games.
Oh my gosh.
Of the players on that team, only Casey Jones would go on to the NBA and, ironically, to play with Russell. Bill Russell is basketball. Every team he touches turns to gold. And oh, by the way, Bill Russell's career coincided with the civil rights movement of the 1960s in a truly surreal way. He endured a disheartening amount of injustice during his career with a grace and pride that is worthy of remembrance in and of itself. But he did more than that, using his position to challenge the establishments around him and effect change. He was a leading voice at the Muhammad Ali Summit in Cleveland. He was at the March on Washington and in attendance for Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. He didn't attend his own Hall of Fame induction because he thought that someone like Chuck Cooper deserved to be the first African-American inductee rather than himself. He was denied rooms in hotels and service in restaurants on basketball road trips. And so he refused to play. When Red Auerbach retired after the '66 season, Russell became the first black head coach in any of the 4 major American sports. While he was playing for the Celtics, vandals broke into his suburban home, spray-painted racist graffiti on the walls, broke his trophies, and defecated on his bed. His contributions to the civil rights movement are as important and notable as any other athlete. He helped light the torch that athletes today continue to carry. Does this necessarily make him the greatest player of all time? No. But when you think about what he was able to accomplish, I don't know how you could be anything but awestruck.
That's facts, man.
What is greatness? It's a question worth discussing.
Shout out Bill Russell
there
for
are
that,
multiple
bro.
answers with equal
Honestly,
validity.
that was tough.
One answer
that's
might
tough.
be this, that greatness is
easy at all.
the absence of potential. Bill Russell couldn't control how tall he was, or how much muscle mass his body could support, how fast he could run, how quickly he could jump. There are a host of things that might hinder or accentuate an individual's potential. Greatness is when, at the end of the road, you can look at that individual and say with certainty, there is no more potential. Every ounce got drained. Every possibility exhausted. The tank got emptied, and the fight got fought. There was simply nothing left. That's a form of greatness worth celebrating. Bill Russell didn't dominate basketball. He conquered it. He ruled a sport for 13 years. Any uprisings or revolutions were succinctly quelled. There is perhaps no term more aptly suited for the totality of what he created than the word dynasty. He was the greatest defender basketball has ever seen. He steered basketball into the modern era. He created a culture from scratch. His loyalties did not belong to fans or the media or to Boston. His loyalty belonged to the Celtics. There is such a thing as a Platonic idea, named after the philosopher Plato. Take, for instance, a chair. You know what a chair is. You have in your mind the idea of a chair. They might look different, be made out of different material, and serve different purposes. But a chair is recognizable because you have the Platonic idea of a chair. You might have heard this term used to describe friendships. A platonic friendship is one centered around the very essence of friendship itself, not romance or sexual gratification or convenient utility, but simply because you enjoy being in that person's company. Bill Russell, more than anyone, unlocked the platonic idea of basketball. And I think in a big way, that's why we love sports. Sports is one of the most organic and compelling storytelling devices that we have ever found. Sports tell a story, and in that story, we hope to find pieces of ourselves. In the Platonic idea of basketball, we find things like compassion, selflessness, solidarity, resiliency, and triumph. There's one last thing that sums it all up. The 1969 finals. It's Russell's last year, and the Celtics are running on fumes. They finished the season 48-34, their worst record since they drafted him. Still, they roll through the East and find themselves matched up against the Lakers, with Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain. The Celtics are massive underdogs. Finally, Russell's most bitter rivals will reach the top of the mountain and send him out a loser. But Boston won't go down without a fight. The series goes to 7 games. Every game but one is decided in the single digits. Russell's scoring days are over. These days, he leads his team by cleaning the boards and setting up his teammates. In Game 7, his swan song. In Los Angeles, Bill Russell and the Celtics did what they always did. They found a way, and they won.
Crazy.
Here, after cementing himself as the greatest basketball player of all time, is the Platonic idea of basketball.
Yes, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you. Exactly.
Hey. I like this one a lot, bro. I like this case a lot. Real talk. Shout out Bill Russell, man. I know. I can't imagine, like, having to not just consistently win in the game of basketball, but while all this racial stuff is happening. You know what I'm saying? Him not being welcome to restaurants, hotels, on trips, game trips, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he took part, looking at the bigger picture, just for more peace, you know what I'm saying, for African Americans, you know what I'm saying? That's real respectable because he didn't have to. He could have just kept playing. He could have just, like, played his game and, like, not, you know what I'm saying? But he wanted to be a part of it, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So him being there in the Martin Luther King, during the Martin Luther King speech, him being there with Muhammad Ali and, you know, Kareem and Jim Brown, that's what's up for real, bro. That's all respect. For real. Respect. Man. You know what I'm saying? I talk about that, him being unselfish. To be unselfish that long, and he's always been a winner. Winner since high school, winner to college, winner in the NBA. He's always been a winner. You know what I'm saying? So I just go to show that that's him doing this. You feel what I'm saying? And to where you're such a good teammate, to where, say, if I play with Russell, that he will end up making me a Hall of Famer. You know how special for a teammate, bro. You gotta be so special, bro. Listen, for those who's watching, and if you don't agree that Bill Russell's the GOAT, that's fine. Just acknowledge and just have an open mindset that he is that guy when it comes to winning. He's that guy. Like, I don't think no one should have to argue with that, because why? He got the most rings out of everybody. You play to win the game. So he won the game multiple times. So he is the ultimate winner. The number says itself. We're not going to do, you know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, but he didn't have any impressive stats. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's the ultimate winner. He got 11 rings out of his 13-year season, his 13-year career. He had 11 rings out of his whole 13-year career, bro. He is the winner, the GOAT of winning. That's him. You know what I'm saying? And if you still don't agree to that, then, I mean, nothing I could do, really. But I just sit here and just appreciate basketball, appreciate greatness, and learn. You know what I'm saying? Honestly. So, especially with Bill Russell, understanding friendship, you know what I'm saying, making teammates comfortable to be themselves, him adjusting to them and not making them adjust to him. That's a real quality of being a teammate, a team player, and a leader. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of qualities I look up to. And that's the type of stuff I try to add to my game whenever I'm on the court or just in life generally. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up, man. Much respect to Bill Russell. Honestly, I might rewatch this again because I love this case. So, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, rewatch it privately because we already saw this, but just now. But, yeah, man. Hope y'all enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all like, comment. You know what I'm saying? Down below. And subscribe if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Join the fam. We're on going up. That's the only direction. Thank you again so much for the love. And we're going to keep grinding over here. No cap. So, yeah, man. Hope y'all stay well. So they say bless. Thank you guys very much, man. Peace. I'm out.